Princess Zarathel of the Valdorian Empire stood 7 feet tall, her crystalline blue skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that indicated her royal bloodline. Her 4 arms moved with practiced grace as she adjusted her ceremonial armor, each piece forged from the strongest metals in the galaxy. Today marked the trials of succession, where she would prove her worth as heir to the throne by facing challengers from across the known worlds. The great arena buzzed with anticipation. Representatives from 100 species filled the floating observation platforms. The serpentine vexti with their multiple heads swaying in unison, the massive rock-like Corvani whose very presence made the ground tremble, and the ethereal luminari who existed as pure energy given temporary form. All had come to witness the next ruler of the most powerful military force in 3 galactic sectors. Zarathel had already defeated 17 challengers, warriors who could bend steel with their minds, creatures whose hides could deflect plasma, fire, beings who moved faster than light itself. Each had fallen before her superior training and the advanced technology of her people. She was unstoppable, invincible, destined for greatness. Then the announcer's voice boomed across the arena. The final challenger approaches. From the 3rd planet of the Sol system, a human. The crowd erupted in laughter. Humans were a recent addition to galactic civilization, barely having achieved faster-than-light travel a few decades ago. They were small, weak, with no natural armor or enhanced abilities. Their lifespans were laughably short, their technology primitive by galactic standards. They were known primarily as merchants, diplomats, and occasionally entertainers. Zarathel joined in the laughter as she watched the human enter the arena. He was barely 6 feet tall, his skin a pale pink that looked almost translucent compared to her crystalline armor-like hide. He carried primitive projectile weapons and wore what appeared to be simple metal plating. His hair was an unusual shade of brown with streaks of gray, and his eyes, a startling blue, surveyed the arena with calm assessment. "This is the final test?" she called out, her voice amplified for all to hear. "A soft-skinned human who probably can't even lift my ceremonial sword?" The human, who had been introduced as Marcus Chen, veteran of something called the Terran Defense Corps, simply nodded respectfully. "Your Highness," he said, his voice carrying clearly without artificial amplification, "I'm honored to face you." From the royal viewing box, Empress Veltara watched with an expression her daughter couldn't quite read. The Empress had ruled for 3 centuries, leading the Valdorian fleets to victory after victory, expanding their empire until it dominated this entire spiral arm of the galaxy. She had faced down star destroyers and negotiated with cosmic entities. Nothing should have surprised her anymore. The battle began as expected. Zarathel launched herself forward with superhuman speed, her 4 arms wielding energy weapons that could cut through starship hulls. The human rolled aside, a movement so simple it seemed almost comical. She fired again, and he dove behind a piece of arena debris. "Is this your strategy?" she taunted. "Hide until I grow bored?" But as the fight continued, something unexpected happened. The human began to adapt. Each attack she made, he countered more effectively. When she used her telekinetic abilities to hurl massive stones, he found ways to use her own momentum against her. When she unleashed her people's signature move, a 4-armed energy barrage that had never been successfully defended against, he somehow managed to predict the pattern and slip through gaps that shouldn't have existed. Most unnervingly, he never stopped talking. Not taunting or boasting, but making observations. "Your 3rd arm drops slightly when you're about to pivot left." Or, "That energy buildup takes 2.3 seconds. Might want to work on that." It was as if he was analyzing her in real time, turning the fight into a learning experience. The crowd's laughter had died away. This wasn't the quick, brutal display of superiority they'd expected. The human was making the Princess of the Valdorian, Empire work for her victory. Then it happened. In a move that defied all logic, the human managed to get inside her guard. Not through superior speed or strength, he had neither, but through sheer tactical brilliance. He had spent the entire fight studying her patterns, her tells, her reflexes, until he could predict her movements better than she could. For the first time in her life, Princess Zarathel found herself disarmed and at the mercy of an opponent. The arena fell silent. Marcus stepped back and lowered his weapons. "Good fight, Your Highness. You're exactly as formidable as your reputation," suggested. Zarathel stared at him, her mind reeling. No one had ever bested her in single combat. No one had ever shown her such respect in defeat, or rather, in her defeat. "How?" she whispered. "Humans don't have your strength or speed," Marcus said, simply. "So we learned to think differently. We adapt, we improvise. We study our opponents and find ways to win that don't rely on being the biggest or strongest or fastest." From the royal box, Empress Veltara's voice rang out across the arena. "The trials are concluded. Princess Zarathel has been tested and found, worthy of learning humility." But then, the Empress did something that shocked everyone present. She descended from her box and approached the human warrior. Her expression was one that Zarathel had never seen before, soft, almost vulnerable. "Marcus," she said quietly, her voice carrying only to those nearby. "It has been 37 years. The human's weathered face broke into a gentle smile. "Hello, Vel. You haven't changed a bit." Zarathel felt the world shift around her. "Mother?" Empress Veltara turned to her daughter, and when she spoke, her voice carried across the arena for all to hear. "Zarathel, there is something you must know. This human warrior, Marcus Chen, he is your father." The revelation sent shockwaves through the crowd. A human? The father of the princess of the Valdorian Empire? Impossible, Zarathel breathed, but even as she said it, she was remembering her unusual blue eyes, not the golden eyes of her people, but blue like Earth's sky. Her strategic mind, so different from the direct approach favored by Valdorian warriors. Her instinctive understanding of tactics over brute force. Marcus approached carefully, her eyes filled with wonder. "When your mother told me she was pregnant, we both knew I couldn't stay. A human in the Valdorian court would have been seen as weakness, but I never stopped hoping I'd meet you someday." You came here to fight me?" she asked. "I came, here to see if my daughter was worthy of the throne," he replied. "And you are. But more than that, you're capable of learning, of growing, of being better than what you were born to be. That's the most human trait of all." Empress Veltara placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Your father taught me that strength isn't just about conquest. Sometimes the greatest victory is knowing when not to fight, when to adapt, when to find a third option that no one else considered." Zarathel looked between her parents. One an empress who commanded star fleets, the other a human warrior who had somehow captured her heart and helped shape the future of an empire. For the first time in her life, she understood that true strength came not from dominance, but from the courage to be something new. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the princess of the Valdorian Empire embraced her human father, and in that moment, the galaxy learned an important lesson. Never underestimate humanity's greatest weapon, not their technology or their tactics, but their incredible ability to change everything simply by being themselves.